My thing is, you love talking about community and how community is important, but when's the last time you let community be there for you? I hit it. I started this off kind of hard, huh? I whacked a couple of y'all and me. But seriously, when's the last time you let community be there for you? Community is so important. We love community. We need community. Individualism is killing us. It's harming us. It's hurting us. Exactly. So stop being so individualistic when you need help.
Oh! See, I knew all too well how to build villages, but I never learned how to belong in a village. Hello, this is Jose, the Black Love Permissionist, and I'm going to talk about something very personal to me, how I view village and what that means about my relationship with myself. This video is going to be a little bit longer than what I normally post. I know that social media outlets like you to keep your videos 3 minutes and under, but I don't believe that it would do this video justice for me to chop it up into a bunch of pieces. So if you're interested in getting to know me more as a person, stick around for this video. I'd like to also offer a trigger warning. There will be some pretty heavy themes discussed in this video, like child abuse, child sexual abuse, mommy and daddy wounds, and grief. So if those are some themes that may be a little bit too heavy for you where you are in life, that is okay. No judgment. Please check out some of my other content. But I'm getting ready to go there today. About a month and a half ago, I was in the car talking to my best friend about something. She was driving me somewhere, and this occurred to me. I realized that while I've always believed in creating safe spaces for other people, and I've always believed in being a major part of anyone's village who's close to me, I never really thought the village was for me. Let me explain. I was raised to take care of other people. Some of you all know, because you've heard me talk about this, I started doing emotional labor for my mother when I was 5 years old. Why? Because at the age of 5, my brother died. I, the oldest child and the oldest grandchild on both sides of my family, became an only child. And with that new role came a heavy responsibility. As some of you know, I was raised by military parents, so I was groomed to be tough. And when my brother died, our friends and loved ones were told to not pity me, to not allow me to feel sorry for myself, and to not cry around me when my brother died. Again, I was 5 years old when my brother died. The messaging was clear. The village was not for me. My mom had a lot of health problems, and she had an extremely traumatizing childhood, which left her with a lot of emotional challenges. And so I learned early in life, as the oldest and now only child, that my job was to tend to her emotions while simultaneously hiding mine. In essence, the messaging was extremely clear. My job was to hold space for everyone. My job was to put other people first, hear them out, be of service. My job was to be the best version of me for everybody else. Again, the messaging was crystal clear. Even when my capacity was low, because again, I'm 5 years old. Even when my grief was high. Again, if we remember, my brother had just died. The village was still not for me. And because my mother didn't want me to be spoiled now that I was new to the only child game, she used abusive tactics to push, dare I say, force me to be generous, to consider others more than I considered myself, even when I was just a child trying to make sense of my pain and my place in the world. So yes, even though my mom took physical care of me, and I credit her for my intellectual prowess, her presence made her a war zone for my nervous system. My mom died when I was 41, and from the age of 5 until the day she died, I never felt fully safe around her. I still battle with feeling safe in the memory of my mom, because my mom was, like many Black children, my first bully. My dad, however, required a different kind of emotional labor from me. He played psychological games with me. He was verbally abusive. And he was sexually inappropriate with me. He gaslit me into keeping his dirty secrets. He joked about things that weren't funny. But because he was less aggressive with me than my mother was, he earned the role of safe parent. Oh, I learned early in life how manipulative patriarchal men can be and how they can weaponize false logic to cover up their emotional immaturity and manipulation in exchange for your loyalty, your silence, which they leverage against you to get whatever it is that they want out of you. See, my dad was my first experience with an abusive, emotionally unavailable fuckboy. And the messaging was clear from both of my parents. Even the village I was born into was not necessarily for me. It seemed as if I was brought here for them. I was raised in a strict religious household, strict. The New Testament holiness church. I often describe it as like a blend of the Pentecostal church, Seventh-day Adventist, and a sprinkle of honky tonk for good measure. And in church, I learned some things. I had 3 jobs as a Christian: to serve, to sacrifice, and to suffer. Anyone who comes from the Christian faith knows that so many things can fall under the category of serving. That can mean giving, it can be caring, that can mean cooking, that can mean showing up, that can be being present, visiting the sick, that can be praying. But service was a way of life. It was taught to me early in life. I was initiated into having a servant mind. Even as a leader, I'm very well versed in servant-based leadership. I was taught to sacrifice early in life. It meant that nothing was actually mine. Everything belonged to God, and it was just on loan for me. So that meant at any given moment, I could be asked to give up that thing. Everything could be sacrificed, including me. I learned to sacrifice my happiness, my well-being. I learned to sacrifice my own health, my time, my energy for other people. And I learned to suffer. Because in the Christian faith, suffering is seen as a good thing. What they now call in like some of the newer translations of the Bible, they refer to it as patience. In the King James Version, they call it long suffering. Not just the ability to bear with something, but to bear with this uncomfortable thing as long as necessary. And you don't get to decide how long necessary is. And in this theology, I learned that God wanted me to abandon myself, that God would reward me one day for abandoning myself. The messaging of my religious programming rang as clear as a bell, because even in the house of God, the all-knowing, all-loving Creator, in his infinite wisdom, the kingdom, the great sacred cosmic village of the Most High, was not made for me to inhabit. But it was my job to build it. And build, I did. Oh, I've been building villages for as long as I can remember. It's what I know. See, I knew all too well how to build villages, but I never learned how to belong in a village. I'll say it again. I knew how to build villages, but I never knew how to belong to a village. And that right there is the part that requires the most work from me. To those who find stories about my childhood triggering, I apologize. I know that some of these themes are a bit much for the internet. On one hand, my upbringing made me dependable. It gave me the empathy and the emotional intelligence that, in my opinion, make me a damn good coach today. But on the other hand, it taught me that my worth was tied up in how well I took care of others. How much was I willing to die so that other people could live? That's why I talk so much about being your own best friend first, your own partner first, your own lover first, your own safe space first, and giving yourself your first fruits, prioritizing yourself properly. Because that's something I'm still learning. I'm still working on every day. And when it comes to me, there are no days off. Because the moment I step away from prioritizing myself first, I am literally giving someone else permission to be the priority in my life over me. So it is a daily, moment by moment practice. And it is the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life because it completely goes against over 40 years of programming. Learning how to be my best without being a perfectionist, whoo, not easy. Learning how to be excellent without disappearing into the role, not easy. Learning how to love without martyring myself, not easy. Sometimes it is difficult to do it, especially for Black girls who were the good ones, well-behaved, A students, top athletes, talented and gifted, first chair. Letting go of that conditioning and figuring out what's authentically you, what your real integrity looks like. That is deep spiritual surgery. So when I say I never thought the village was for me, I mean that for most of my life, I invested deeply in other people's healing, other people's desires, other people's communities, other people's businesses, because I was here to meet other people's needs. And when I didn't get that same energy back, I used to feel confused and disappointed. Sometimes I still do. And I would ask, why don't people show up for me the way I show up for them? The last few years of my life have answered this question, and I'd like to share the answer. The last few years have shown me just how critical it is to pour into yourself first, to set your own standards, to be clear about what you want before you step into any village, any relationship, any circle, any community, any job. Because when you are clear about you, when you don't play about you, belonging stops being an ever-moving goalpost. Belonging becomes a way of being. This is what it truly means to take up space. And when people disappoint you, and trust me, they absolutely fucking will, you can come back to yourself and remember who the true members of your village are. If you go missing for a few days, who's looking for you? Who? If you end up in the hospital and you can't call or text, who is checking for you? Who's concerned about you? If you don't sound right on the phone, who's pulling up to your doorstep to look at your face? If they don't live in the same city with you, who's going to blow up that phone? Who's going to video chat you so they can make sure they see what's going on? When you bump heads, who's willing to repair and grow with you? Who's willing to say, I'm not willing to throw this relationship away. I'm working on me, and I value you so much. I'm not going to leave until we resolve this thing. And I've had more people show up for me this way in this last year of my life than I ever have. And you know what that tells me? That the inner work I'm doing is not in vain. It's not. So if you're listening to this, maybe you've been more of a village builder than a village member too. Maybe you understand the purpose of the village, but you never felt safe enough to receive the perks. Maybe you're the one that everyone calls, but no one checks on. Let me remind you, your inner work is not in vain. Learning to trust yourself is not in vain. Learning to love yourself more deeply is not in vain. Building your village is not in vain. Now, I cannot promise that it's always going to feel good. I'm not going to lie to you there. Love is not nice, but it is revealing. Some people will come, some people will go. That is the nature of relationships. We don't own anyone. But if you keep building your inner village, I promise you, your outer village will reflect the wholeness, the fullness, and the love that is already inside of you. And if you don't build your inner village, I can guarantee you that your outer village will reflect that too. This is Jose, the Black Love Permissionist, signing off.